Don't speak a word. How a poor maid exposed her husband's bizarre plot to save a billionaire boss. The clock struck midnight, and all was quiet in the lavish mansion, but beneath the calm surface lay a maelstrom of secrets. Emma, the overworked maid, had felt it. A chill danced down her spine, the kind that told her something was very, very wrong. The place smelled of polished wood and desperation, like something precious was hidden, and it was just out of reach. Her heart raced as shadows flickered on the walls. Every creak of the floorboards echoed through the hall like a warning bell, urging her to stay alert. Every night, the boss Mr. Caldwell locked himself away in his study, muttering strange words, his voice vibrating with urgency. Emma had overheard fragments of twisted conversations, whispers of life-saving formulas, and hidden wealth. Every time she served him dinner, a knot tightened in her stomach, the fear mingling with her curiosity. What was he up to? What dark plan was unraveling behind those closed doors? She felt like a character in a mystery novel, trapped in a web of deceit. When she caught sight of a velvet bag half hidden beneath the study desk, her breath snagged in her throat. The glimmer of gold coins caught the low-light evidence of something sinister. Mustering her courage, Emma dared to reach for it. Just before her fingers touched the cool metal, Mr. Caldwell burst through the door, his eyes wild and frantic. "What do you think you're doing?" he roared, his voice shaking the very foundation of the mansion. Her heart pounded so loud, she thought it might burst. There was a moment of frozen silence. His fury melted into something she'd never seen before: fear. What was he so afraid of? The room crackled with tension, unspoken threats hanging in the air. He stepped closer, an uninvited shadow creeping over her fragile form. There was so much at stake, and the truth was dangling just out of reach. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads-up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Emma's mind raced. What the hell was going on? As she met Mr. Caldwell's glare, she saw something break in him, a flicker of desperation. With a voice barely a whisper, he muttered, "You can't tell anyone, not anyone." The weight of his words hung heavy between them. Was this the beginning of a cover-up? Was someone else in danger? The room spun, and the questions piled up, 2 lives tangled in a nightmarish drama, each secret a step toward the edge. And just when it seemed the tension couldn't get any thicker, the lights flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Emma's breath hitched. In the pitch black, she felt the presence of danger more vividly than ever. What would happen next? And who was really in control of this sinister game? The flickering darkness engulfed them, an oppressive blanket echoing their breaths. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs, the sound reverberating in the stillness. She could feel Mr. Caldwell's eyes on her, probing, searching. The air thickened with tension, every second stretching unbearably long. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, yet curiosity anchored her feet to the ground. "Where did you put it?" Mr. Caldwell's voice cut through the silence, sharp and frantic. "I know you've seen it." She stumbled back. "What are you talking about?" Panic laced her words, amplifying the chaos inside her mind. The thought of a hidden treasure. Was she just being overwhelmed by fear? Or was there something real, something truly dark beneath the surface of this sprawling mansion? As if in response to her thoughts, a faint glow emerged from her left. It flickered like a distant star, illuminating just enough of the room to reveal Mr. Caldwell's torn expression, a mixture of dread and urgency. He advanced toward the light source. Emma followed cautiously, her instincts still in overdrive. The glow turned out to be a small desk lamp, precariously perched on a cluttered bookshelf. Suddenly, the low hum of the mansion was pierced by an ear-splitting crash from the outer hall. It felt like the world was collapsing, stunning Emma into place. What had just happened? "Stay here," Mr. Caldwell hissed before darting toward the door. But as he turned, a figure emerged from the blackness, silhouetted in the dim light. "Stop right there." The commanding voice was a stranger to Emma, but it was laced with authority. She held her breath, images of confrontation swirling in her head. Fear coiled in her stomach. Who was this intruder? "Did you take it?" the voice barked, cutting through the tension between them. Emma couldn't distinguish much, only the glint of something metallic in the dimness. Whatever fear had halted her moments before shattered with the impulse to act. She slipped behind the bookshelf, her heart pounding in her ears. Mr. Caldwell's face twisted in terror as he faced the newcomer. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." The intruder took a step forward, shadows pooling around him. Uncertainty flickered in the air. Emma dared to glance around the edge of the bookshelf, observing the two men. Caldwell had never looked so vulnerable, while the figure looming over him seemed a harbinger of doom. "Tell me where it is, or this ends badly for you," the intruder threatened, his words dripping with malice. Emma's pulse quickened. Her mind raced. What had Caldwell really done? Was it the wealth he had whispered about, or something darker that they were both hiding? Suddenly, the lights flickered back to life, casting harsh light on the scene. Emma's heart sank. She could see the fear etched on Mr. Caldwell's face, contrasting starkly with the cold confidence of the intruder, whose grin spread slowly, like a predator spotting an easy prey. "Looks like the game is up, isn't it?" The intruder taunted, raising the metallic object. Emma squinted, her breath hitching as the glint solidified into something horrific, a gun. Panic surged through her veins. What now? The walls of the mansion seemed to close in, heavy with the weight of secrets and danger. Emma's mind raced, a decision pressed against her heart like a vice. She couldn't bail out now, she had to know the truth behind this madness, but the moment she stepped forward, Caldwell's eyes darted to her, pleading yet fearful. "No, Emma, run." The time for hiding was over. With the shadows pulling her forward, she felt a dangerous resolve awaken inside her. In an instant, as fear morphed into action, she shouted, "What do you want with us?" The room froze. Caldwell's eyes widened, the intruder's grin faltered. Emma stood on the precipice of a revelation, and she was ready to unravel the truth whatever the cost. What had she just triggered? The unseen connections in this tangled web started to unravel, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to plunge headfirst into a nightmare much worse than they all imagined. What awaited them in the dawn light? The intruder's grip tightened around the gun, his confidence wavering just a fraction as Emma's challenge lingered in the weighty air. He seemed to reassess, sizing her up as if weighing her worth against the object he held. For a split second, the chaos felt suspended, as if the entire mansion were holding its breath. "Who are you?" he snarled, not breaking eye contact with Emma. "What do you know?" Emma swallowed hard, words caught in her throat, yet she pushed through. "You're after something. Caldwell has something that doesn't belong to you." The intruder chuckled darkly, the sound ricocheting off the ornate walls. "And you think you can save him?" His laughter transformed into a sneer, filled with contempt. The low growl of his voice sent shivers down Emma's spine. "Calm down," Caldwell begged, but the sound was swallowed by the atmosphere thickening with anticipation. "This isn't the way to resolve this." "Not the way?" The intruder took a step closer, the light glinting off the gun. "All I know is that truth and deception got tangled up in this house long before either of us showed up. You're too deep in this mess to escape now, Caldwell." Fear rippled through Emma. What kind of web had Caldwell woven? What truth was she standing on the edge of? "Enough!" she yelled, her voice breaking through the tension like a knife. "Just tell us what you want." Isn't it obvious? The intruder's eyes sparkled with malice. The same thing, everyone wants power, control, and long-buried secrets. Suddenly, the air shifted. Emma's instincts kicked into overdrive once again. There was something deeply wrong about the smile that crept back onto the intruder's face. It was predatory and unhinged, promising chaos. Caldwell took a step back, visibly trembling. "You don't have to do this." As if fueled by Caldwell's fear, the intruder stepped ever closer, each move deliberate as he leveled the gun at Caldwell. "I was made so much stronger with what you have, and now it's time to pay your debts." Panic surged again. Emma could feel it rising in her throat, the urgency to act becoming a palpable force. Her mind raced, weighing her options, yet the boundaries of her reality felt like they were collapsing. "Wait!" Emma shouted impulsively, her heart hammering against her ribs. "What if we could make a deal?" Silence enveloped them. The intruder paused, considering the proposition. Caldwell's eyes darted back to her, merging fear with an unexpected flicker of hope. "What kind of deal?" he asked cautiously. "Let me help." "Let us help." Emma felt the words spill from her lips, carried by adrenaline. "You said secrets. We can reveal something about this place, something that matters. Why go down with him when you could come out unscathed?" The intruder's face twisted, caught between suspicion and intrigue. But as he scrutinized Emma, she felt an almost magnetic pull, a dangerous gamble where every heartbeat threatened to tip the balance. "I'm listening." His tone shifted, curiosity flirting with malice. Emma had bought them a moment, but how long would it last? "Caldwell must have something he hasn't revealed," she pressed on, desperation fueling her voice. "Tell us what you want first, and we can negotiate." A menacing grin curled at the intruder's lips. "Ah, it's always about the next move. Let us play then, shall we?" She quickly glanced at Mr. Caldwell, whose expression mirrored a storm of dread and uncertainty. The mansion felt alive, vibrating with tension as they stood on the brink of a decision that might change everything. "Just tell him, Caldwell," Emma urged, feeling her voice falter. The stakes had escalated beyond her comprehension, and she could sense the darkness weaving tighter around them. But before Caldwell could comply, a loud thud reverberated through the mansion. The air crackled like electricity, and Emma's heart dropped. Then came the voice, urgent, wild but familiar, "Help! Someone help me!" Panic ignited anew within her. Who was it? What trouble awaited them now? As the seconds ticked by, the four walls of the mansion felt like they were closing in. What if this was all tied to whatever Caldwell had hidden? With one last glance at Caldwell and the intruder, Emma knew that they were about to descend deeper into chaos. Whatever lay beyond the door could change everything, and she might not be ready for the truth that awaited them. Would it reveal a solution or an even darker conflict? Emma's heart raced as she processed the voice echoing through the mansion. It was high-pitched, frantic, the sound of someone in dire need. She turned to the intruder, desperation spilling from her. "Who is it? What have you done?" she demanded, eyes wide with fear. His grin faltered for just a moment, replaced by thinly veiled irritation. "You think I'm responsible for every scream in this place? Keep your wits about you." Caldwell, shifting nervously, stepped closer to a grand door that separated them from the source of the cry. "You shouldn't go down there," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, his dread palpable. Ignoring him, Emma moved forward, adrenaline fueling her urgency. "I need to know who's in there." "Don't be foolish, Emma," Caldwell hissed. But she couldn't be restrained. The voice begged, help, over and over like a haunting refrain, resonating deep within her. The intruder shifted his weight, gun still aimed at Caldwell. "You don't want to open that door. That noise, it could be a trap. But it could also be a chance," Emma shot back, her resolve hardening. She grasped the doorknob, twisting it slowly. The wood creaked in protest. The unlit room beyond seemed to breathe with anticipation, shadows shifting like restless spirits. "Stop!" came the intruder's sharp command, his voice slicing through the moment. "You open that door, you might not like what you find." Emma hesitated, glancing back at him. Was he warning her or threatening her? Caldwell was pale, sweat beading on his forehead as he looked between them. The murmur of desperation pulled her like a magnet. With a swift motion, she threw the door wide open. Dust and darkness poured out like a thick fog. And there, huddled in the corner, a woman lay bound and gagged, her wide eyes screaming a silent plea. "Help me!" she gasped, the sound barely escaping her lips, muffled by the fabric gagging her. Emma rushed in, her heart slamming against her ribcage. The intruder barked. "Get back! You don't know what you're doing." Ignoring him, Emma knelt, quickly working to free the woman. "I've got you. You're going to be okay," she whispered, her hands trembling as she worked at the knotted ropes. "Emma, please!" Caldwell cried out, panic lacing his voice. "You don't know what's in that room." But it was too late. The moment the ropes fell away, the woman cried out, fear dancing in her eyes as she glanced behind Emma. Before Emma could do anything, the intruder lunged forward, pushing her aside. "You shouldn't have let her loose." The chaos erupted. Caldwell tried to wrestle the gun from the intruder's hands as Emma fell back, her breath catching in her throat. Seconds felt like hours as Caldwell's hands struggled against the intruder's iron grip. The woman scrambled to her feet, wild and frightened. "You have to get out!" she shouted, eyes darting around as if she could sense the impending danger. "You don't know what you're unleashing." The intruder, realizing he was losing control, shoved Caldwell back hard. A loud crack resonated through the room as Caldwell hit the ground, gasping. Panic swept over Emma as she scrambled to help him, but the intruder was already moving, gun raised, shouting threats. "You're all in deep. Secrets want to stay buried." His wild eyes reflected a crazed energy, and Emma knew in that moment, they were all on the brink of something unspeakable, but she couldn't look away from the woman, whose terror morphed into urgency. "Get out! The truth will destroy you all." Emma's mind raced. What did she mean? What truth? Just as the intruder opened his mouth to shout again, a loud crash echoed behind them. The mansion itself groaned, as if it were alive and responding to the chaos. The floor trembled underfoot, dust swirling into the air. "Get down!" Caldwell shouted as the walls quaked. In that split second, everything changed. The room spun as they braced themselves against the impending collapse. Emma clutched the woman's arm, pulling her back. Time seemed to stretch, moments merging as fear, confusion, and shock coiled around them like a noose. The mansion was no longer just a backdrop, it was an entity, an adversary laying traps and secrets all its own. Would they escape the chaos together, or would they be consumed by the shadows of the past? As the ground shook beneath them and the walls closed in, Emma realized that the fight for survival was only beginning. The true danger was just outside their perception, waiting to ensnare them all. With one final heartbeat of silence, Emma whispered to herself, "Not like this. We can't go down without a fight." And just then, a voice from beyond the door spoke again, darker and more sinister this time, "You've unleashed the truth and now it wants its due." The tremors beneath their feet intensified, sending shards of dust raining down from the cracked ceiling. Emma stared wide-eyed at the woman, whose panic-stricken face was illuminated by the eroding light that crept in from the hallway. "Get her out!" Caldwell shouted, grappling with the intruder even as his breath came in ragged gasps. "I'll hold him off." "No!" Emma snapped, her voice sharp against the roar of the collapsing mansion. "We need to stay together." But the urgency of the moment clawed at her. The woman was still trembling, her eyes darting between Emma and the door, the one that seemed to throb with a life of its own. The intruder roared in frustration, shoving Caldwell once more, sending him sprawling across the floor. Emma barely noticed as she turned back to the woman, whose hands were still bound and whose muffled cries went straight to her heart. "We're going to be okay," Emma reassured her, though doubt gnawed at her resolve. "Just hold on a little longer." She grabbed the woman's arm, urgency crackling in the air. "We can't let him get away from her." The intruder's voice cut through the chaos, filled with menace. Emma felt the woman's fear seep into her, flooding her veins with icy dread. The woman's wide eyes were pleading not just for escape, but for answers. "The truth," she whispered, panic-stricken. "You don't know what you've done." The intruder seized the moment, lunging forward with a roar. Caldwell regained his footing just in time, tackling him to the ground. They grappled on the floor, each hit sounding like a gunshot in the enclosed space, echoing off the walls that seemed to pulsate around them. "Run!" Caldwell shouted to Emma, his voice strained but resolute, as he wrestled for the gun. "No!" Emma cried, but she hesitated. The truth? What could the woman mean? Vicissitudes of past traumas whisked through her mind, blending with her survival instinct. She caught sight of the door again, the shadows within writhing as if alive. Emma ripped the fabric from the woman's mouth. "What truth? What are you talking about?" Her heart raced, brain firing synapses in a wild frenzy, but the woman only shook her head, wild-eyed. "The house, it knows what you're after. Secrets don't want the light. Don't let it." Before she could finish, the wall behind them rumbled violently, as if the very structure were trying to swallow them whole. Splintering wood rang out, followed by the distressing sound of stone giving way. Emma grabbed the woman's hand tightly, urgency clawing at her to act. "Come on!" she yelled, pulling her toward the doorway as the skirmish continued on the floor behind them. Caldwell managed to land a solid punch against the intruder, staggering him backward. "This way!" Emma shouted, unwilling to look back, fear propelling her forward into collapsing darkness. But as they leaning against the door frame, their escape shifted into a skirmish of its own. The darkness was thick, almost tangible, reaching for them with icy tendrils. Just then, a ghastly wail erupted from the depths of the mansion, eerie and haunting. The air chilled instantly, freezing Emma in place. It was a sound so forlorn, carrying with it the weight of despair, a warning. Suddenly, the intruder broke free of Caldwell's grip, lunging toward them. "No! Don't let it take you!" he yelled frantically, desperation spilling from his eyes. Emma felt a surge of terror. They were cornered, choices dwindling. In that heartbeat, she made a decision that would change everything. Into the dark, she urged the woman, shoving her through the doorway just as the intruder lunged. They stumbled into the pitch blackness, and Emma wheeled around, ready to fight, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. But the door slammed shut behind them with an earth-shattering crash, cutting off all light, leaving them encased within a void filled with hushed whispers of secrets best left unspoken. "Do you hear that?" Emma asked, her skin prickling, every nerve ending alight with fears yet unnamed. "Yes," the woman replied, her voice barely a whisper, dripping with dread. "It's not just the house, it's what's inside." As shadows danced around them, a chilling thought formed in Emma's mind. What if the truth they had unleashed was the very thing hunting them? And then, a pulse of darkness surged through the walls, each beat echoing her own trepidation. "Stay close," Emma whispered, her heart pounding, as the darkness seemed to throb closer. Outside, the mansion groaned miserably, holding its secrets, waiting for someone to reclaim what had been unleashed. What horrors lay in wait just ahead? The darkness swallowed them, pressing against Emma like a living thing, squeezing out any sense of safety. She could barely see, the shadows swirling around them with a mind of their own. A sudden rustle made her jump, and she felt the woman beside her flinch. "Stay close," Emma repeated, forcing each word out as her throat tightened. The fear that had clawed at her insides now felt like a real entity, breathing down her neck. What were they up against? "Do you think they found us?" the woman whispered, her voice trembling. "Who?" Emma asked, confusion mingling with dread. "The others," "They're always watching," she said cryptically, her panic rising as if she could sense unseen eyes trained on them. Emma wanted to demand more, but before she could, a low growl reverberated through the dark, a deep, resonating sound that rattled her bones and left an unsettling knot in her stomach. As if in response, the walls pulsed again, and Emma could feel a vibration spreading across the surface like the beat of a heart. "We need to move," she said, grabbing the woman's arm and pulling her deeper into the shadows. With each step, the air grew thicker, pulling at her lungs like trying to breathe underwater. The sensation was disorienting, overwhelming. They pressed on, guided by nothing more than instinct and fear. Visions of glimmering light and safety flickered in Emma's mind, but they felt miles away, dimmed by the oppressive atmosphere. A sudden crash sounded behind them, a break, a rattle. The door they had just fled splintered open. Emma froze. Did Caldwell he won tea last?" The woman's voice trembled with urgency. "We need to find a way out, or it will take us both." Emma's heart raced. A truth hung in the air: they were being hunted. But what was hunting them? The growl echoed again, closer this time, reverberating with a predatory hunger that sent cold shivers up Emma's spine. She clutched the woman's arm tighter, pulling her forward through the heavy, churning gloom. "Wait," the woman said, suddenly cold. "I think there's something ahead." Emma squinted, and through the blackness, a faint light flickered, like a candle's flame dancing in the wind. It drew her in, compelling her steps. "Can you see it?" she breathed, trying to quell the rush of hope that accompanied it. "Yes," the woman replied, hesitating. "But we shouldn't." Before she could finish, a deep rumble shook the ground beneath them. A new wave of intensity washed over the darkness as the shadows split and writhed, forming shapes that elongated menacingly. Emma stumbled back, but the woman gripped her tight. "We have to go. Now." They rushed toward the light, but the shrill sound of splintering wood filled the air as the walls creaked ominously. The growl morphed into a snarl, primal and jagged, wrapping around Emma like chains. Just ahead, shadows surged forth, rising to engulf them both. Then, everything went black, as if they had plunged into an endless chasm. A searing pain shot through Emma's skull, and she collapsed to her knees, gasping for breath. "Emma!" the woman screamed, her voice distant and ringing. "I'm okay." Emma gasped, her heart racing as she glanced around. No light, no walls, just an endless void. "Where are you?" "Here." The woman's voice echoed, yet it felt infinitely far away. But just then, the floor beneath Emma shifted, buckling like a sinking ship. Panic shot through her. "We need to find each other." "I'm coming to you, but we have to hurry. The house, it's changing." The urgency in the woman's tone was electric, laced with palpable fear. Emma moved blindly, hands stretching out to feel the unseen. But the ground beneath her feet was turning to sand, pulling her down. "No. Don't let it take you." The dark whispered promises of despair, wrapping around her limbs as she fought against the ever-shifting floor. "Please!" she cried out, her voice cracking. The shadows roared in laughter around her, as if the house itself relished in her struggle. Yet in the suffocating silence, a thought pierced through: she could either fight the darkness or be swallowed whole. As the ground gave way, she felt herself slipping. "Help me!" But before she could be pulled into the depths, the fabric of night tore, and a blinding light erupted from above, illuminating the void. "Emma!" The woman's voice was stronger now, reaching out through the fracture of shadows. "In the light!" Emma shouted, scrambling toward it just as the darkness wrapped tighter around her ankles. But that insatiable growl returned, and with it came a sudden stillness. What now? Was that light a salvation or another trap on this hidden path of horrors within the mansion? The ground dropped again, and without warning, she felt arms around her, pulling her close as both of them fell through the light. What awaited them on the other side? The light enveloped Emma and the woman, blinding, electric. It wasn't warm, it cut through her like ice, throwing her senses into chaos. The sensation of falling faded abruptly, and with a jarring thump, they crashed onto solid ground. Emma blinked through the dazzle, trying to regain her bearings. The woman beside her pushed herself up, brushing her hair from her face. What just happened? Her voice trembled. I don't know, Emma stammered, scanning their surroundings. They were in a vast chamber, dimly lit with strange, flickering lights hanging from the ceiling and eerie bioluminescence that cast dancing shadows across the walls. The atmosphere felt different, charged. She could feel it in her skin, like a storm just waiting to break. A low whisper darted through the air, weaving in and out of their comprehension. We've entered the heart, the woman said, her voice barely above a whisper. Heart of what? Emma demanded, anxiety creeping back in. The house, the woman replied, glancing around as if it would rise from the ground and devour them. This is where they are, where it all happens. What? Emma pressed, feeling the weight of every syllable. Who? What does that even mean? Before the woman could answer, a soft rustling sounded from the shadows beyond the light. Emma's heart raced as she turned her head, every instinct screaming for her to run. Cold, clammy fingers seemed to reach for her from the corners, where darkness loomed like a hungry beast. Stop! The woman cried out, eyes wide. We can't let it take us. Not again. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, surreal, and made entirely of smoke and flickers of light. Its presence twisted the bioluminescence, casting twisted images of their own terrified faces back at them. Emma's pulse quickened as she fought to push back the surge of fear rising in her throat. Caldwell? She spit out, half hopeful, half dreadful. No, the woman shook her head. Not him. Not all of them. She backed away, and Emma followed her lead. What are you talking about? Emma's voice grew sharper, desperation creeping in. Who's all of them? What are they planning? But the figure advanced, shimmering with malicious intent, an echo of something dark and predatory. It raised a hand, and a cacophony of whispers erupted, filling the chamber with maddening urgency. We can't stay here, the woman hissed, fear flooding her eyes. They know we're here. Then we need to move. Emma insisted, adrenaline spurring her before the shadows closed in. They raced away from the disorienting whispers and the unsettling figure, seeking an exit. As they moved further into the heart of the house, everything around them seemed to shift, walls pulsated, the floor seemed to undulate like a living thing. Echoes of laughter and cries swirled around them, hinting at the horrors that lay deeper in the shadows. Do you hear that? Emma paused, straining her ears. A new sound joined the fray, a chilling harmonization that tugged at her memories, a child's laugh, then twisting to something sinister, like a knife scraping a taunt. The woman clutched Emma's arm, her grip nearly painful. We have to get out. If they're playing with us, they could already know everything. Everything? About you, me, and the choices we've made. An icy dread gripped Emma's chest. What choices? But before she could get an answer, the ground shook, and an oppressive force bore down as the walls began to swell, closing in. The whispers crescendoed, a cacophony of malevolence, their breaths hot against her ears. If you're looking for the truth, the shadow echo murmured, voice like rusted chains, then face your nightmares. At that instant, a door swung open behind them, light spilling in a stark contrast against the encroaching shadows. With no time to think, they jumped through, breathless. The moment they landed, the whispers fell silent. The air was still as death. But before relief could settle, an echo of laughter rolled through the space, distorting reality. You think you've escaped? The game has only just begun. As the hairs on the back of Emma's neck stood on end, uncertainty gnawed at her gut. What was awaiting them now? What was the true cost of uncovering the secrets within this house of horrors? The silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating, as Emma and the woman stumbled into a new room. It was smaller but just as unsettling. The walls were lined with mirrors, each glass reflecting distorted versions of themselves, elongated bodies, twisted faces, haunting shadows. "What is this place?" Emma gasped, glancing nervously at the mirrors. "It feels wrong, the Hall of Echoes," the woman whispered, her voice trembling as she took cautious steps. "This is where truths can't be hidden." Emma felt an unsettling chill creep into her bones. "Truths?" she echoed, her voice barely a whisper. "Like what?" Suddenly, the mirrors rippled, and a new voice cut through the air, smooth and wickedly playful. "Oh, isn't this delightful?" Little Emma, caught in the tangled web of her own making, Emma stiffened. The voice was achingly familiar, a cold reminder of everything she wished to forget. "You!" she shouted, scanning the mirrors. "Me?" The voice laughed, the sound rich with malice. "I'm just a reflection, my dear. A dizzying glimpse of what you want to run from." With every word, Emma felt a weight in her chest, a sense of panic clawing at her throat. The shadows of the past began to rise, floating in the reflections, choices she regretted, moments she avoided. The room swirled as memories taunted her, relentless. "No! Stop it!" Emma cried out, covering her ears. "I want to listen." But the woman beside her gripped her shoulder tightly. "Emma! Look!" One of the mirrors shimmered, a scene materializing. In it, a younger Emma stood in her childhood home, freshly painted walls and the smell of cookies wafting through the air. But the happiness was pierced by a shadow lurking in the corner, her father's disappointed gaze. A painful flash, a decision made long ago that led to this stranglehold of shame. Emma staggered back, breath hitching. "That's not me, it's not how it happened. Every choice has a cost," the woman murmured, her face pale. "We'll never escape if we don't confront them." The shadowy figure from before surged forward in the mirror, twisting its form with a spiraling laugh. "This is just the beginning, my dear. When you face the truth, only then can you truly find freedom." The woman's eyes widened in horror. "Emma, we have to leave. Now." Just as they turned to flee, the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, each piece a glimmer of their pasts. Emma could hear herself, the laughter, the cries, the agony of choices now echoing in her ears. "We can't let it take us," Emma screamed, fueled by panic. But the remaining mirrors visibly distorted, warping their reflections into grotesque parodies with mocking grins. She bolted toward the door they had entered from, but it was gone, replaced by a wall of mirrors that seemed to shrink around them. "Emma!" The woman's voice cracked, fear igniting despair. "We're trapped." But before Emma could answer, she felt an overwhelming force tugging at her, an inescapable magnetism pulling her toward the mirrors. Visions of her past swirled around her, and she could taste the bile rising at the back of her throat. "Face them. Embrace what you've done." The shadow howled, its voice a cacophony that echoed through her mind. "I want tea," Emma shouted, rage fueling her fight as memories began to coil around her, a tangible embodiment of guilt and regret. Suddenly, with a blinding flash, the mirrors cracked, shattering the suffocating atmosphere, splintering her past into shards of memory. They stumbled forward, drawn by an unyielding desire to escape, but as they finally burst through, leaving the Hall of Echoes behind, a foreboding laugh reverberated through the air. "You think you can run from yourself? Your past will catch up and it will bleed." Emma's heart raced at the revelation. They were not just being hunted, they were being hunted by their very own darkness. What lay ahead would challenge not only their survival but everything they had once believed to be true. As they plunged deeper into the house's labyrinth, a chilling whisper echoed from the shadows, "You must choose to confront the monster within before it consumes you whole." Could they unravel the truth in time, or would they be devoured by the choices they so desperately tried to escape? They crashed into a dark corridor, breathless and trembling. The air was thick with a musty odor, like old books and dust. Emma turned around, desperate to see if the Hall of Echoes was still behind them. But it was just shadows now, closing in, twisting into shapes that seemed almost alive. "We have to keep moving," the woman urged, her voice still shaking as she pulled Emma forward. The walls felt closer here, creeping and alive. Emma's heart raced. Each step left an echo in her mind, a drumbeat of her own fear. She thought she could hear voices again, hushed murmurs filtering through the dark, whispers of things better left unsaid. Yet nothing tangible followed them. Only shadows. "Do you hear that?" Emma gasped. "Focus," the woman snapped, guiding her through the suffocating darkness. "We need to find a way out." Around them, the shadows seemed to ripple again, but this time with a piercing clarity that struck Emma hard. Her past twisted, re-emerging in fragments like Polaroids in a storm. A memory surfaced, a moment of cruel betrayal that she had buried deep inside. It was a friend, no, a sister. "Emma," the woman's voice broke through the reverie. "You're losing yourself." But the echo of that betrayal pulsated, clenching tighter in her throat. I remember." She was back in high school, the friend's face warped in confusion, tears glistening in her eyes as Emma turned her back in a moment of weakness. "I chose to be alone. I thought it was safer." "No. Don't go back there," the woman shouted, panic rising. "We need to escape." Suddenly, the darkness thickened, tangible as it pressed in. An icy wind howled down the corridor, chilling Emma's bones. She felt sharp blades of air slicing at her skin, reminding her that worse things lurked beyond the shadows. "Are you sure you want to face them?" A new voice purred, smooth as silk, echoing from every dark corner. "Every choice, every regret, always so enticing, isn't it?" Emma froze. It was the shadow from the mirrors. Its laughter slithered around her like a snake, wrapping its tail tighter and tighter. "You are so full of contradictions. You can't escape the monster inside. What do you want from us?" Emma shouted, clenching her fists, feeling the raw energy of her past surge through her. "Want?" the voice purred, almost mockingly. "I want nothing more than for you to recognize who you truly are. To embrace your darkness." Without warning, the corridor shifted. The walls rippled as if the house itself began to reshape, confining them further. "Look around, Emma," the woman cried out, grasping at the walls that pulsated with dread. "We're running out of time. We can't let it win." With a surge of desperation, Emma pulled away from her past, pushing herself forward, compelling herself to run. Memories burst like fireworks behind her, blinding and painful, but she had to keep moving. Each footfall echoed louder, drowning out the whispers that clawed at her mind. Finally, the darkness began to thin. There was a flicker of light ahead, a faint glimmer that beckoned with urgency. Emma rushed toward it, pulling the woman along, knowing it could be their chance to break free, but just as they were about to step into the glow, a figure emerged from the shadows. It stood tall and dark, a silhouette of everything she feared. The shadow wore her face, twisting into a grotesque smile. "You can't escape," it hissed, its eyes glinting with malice. "You will pay for what you've done." The weight of regret settled heavily in Emma's chest. "What do you mean?" she gasped, drawing back slightly. "You chose betrayal, remember? Just like you chose to forget the pain. Now face the consequences." As the shadow lunged forward, a shrill scream filled the corridor, a cry that echoed from deep within Emma's own heart. The woman beside her gasped, turning to Emma, terror etched on her face. "Don't let it take you." Everything hung in the balance. Would she have the strength to confront this dark reflection? Or would the past consume her? With a rush of fury, Emma grabbed the woman's arm. "Together!" she shouted, knowing that their only hope lay not in running but in facing the truth. But with that resolve, darkness surged, swallowing the light as the space around them twisted. The door they had seen flickered away, leaving only a void. As the shadows danced closer, Emma clung tightly to the woman. No. We won't be trapped. But just like a cruel trick, reality warped. A single image burst into view, one that made Emma's heart plummet. Her sister stood there, tears pooling in her eyes, looking back from the past, lost and betrayed. Why did you leave? Emma faltered, the flicker of light extinguishing. A choice, a truth, hung pregnant in the air. What now? Would she grapple with her ghosts, or would she be swallowed whole by the darkness? As shadows crept closer, Emma's mind whirled. Her sister's tear-stained face twisted in agony, a reflection of choices made long ago. Panic gnawed at her insides, hungry and relentless. Stop. Please. She screamed, her voice slicing through the stillness. The shadows paused, then writhed as if tasting her fear. We're not here to hurt you, the woman beside her said, her voice steadying Emma's chaotic thoughts. We're just trying to survive. Survive? The darkness chuckled, folding around them like warm mist. Survival means facing the truth. Are you ready for that? Emma locked eyes with her sister's image, so full of pain. I never wanted to leave you. She shouted. But I thought, the words stuck in her throat, like boulders heavy with regret. I thought it was for the best. I ran because I thought I was saving myself. A chilling silence followed, deep and pressurized. Saving yourself? Whispered the shadow, a smirk carving its features. But you only chose to abandon her. The weight of the moment crashed down. Unfathomable guilt swelled inside her like a tidal wave, each crest threatening to pull her under. Yet, she was breathing. It was time to fight. I won't let you manipulate me. She cried, anger igniting her spirit. The past is a part of me, but it won't define me. Then confront it, the shadow hissed, its eyes doing a slow dance, ridiculing Emma's newfound courage. Say it. Say the words that will free you. Emma took a deep breath, filling her lungs with determination. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I left you. I was scared, and I thought distance would save us both. But it didn't. Tears brimmed as she spoke. I've carried that weight, I'm ready to share it now. With every word, the atmosphere shifted. The shadows flickered, tremors rippling through the dark. Emma felt her sister's presence hovering near, an unbreakable bond woven from time and memories. I wish I could take it back. I should have fought for you, she gasped, pain and resentment clawing at her heart. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked as a brilliant light broke free from within Emma, flooding the corridor. Wind whipped around them, pulling the ongoing darkness away like a shroud. In that radiant moment, the cruel reflection of her sister faded, replaced by a warm golden light, illuminating the corners of her memories instead of distorting them. Enough. You can't destroy me. Emma shouted, confidence flowing through her veins. My past is no longer a prison. I am sorry, but I will not drown in guilt. The shadows shrieked again, contorting, dissolving into incandescent dust swarming helplessly around them. The woman beside her gasped, eyes wide as ribbons of light ascended, dispersing the last of the dark flickers. Let her go. She shouted, and with her voice came an echoing command that split the remnants of malice. With a fierce resolve, Emma pressed on toward the heart of the radiant glow that had now taken form. The air shimmered, revealing a doorway straight and strong, pulsing with vibrant energy. Was this freedom? Together, hand in hand, Emma and the woman rushed forward. As they crossed through the doorway, the shadows receded behind them, surrendering under the waves of bright light. Emma staggered forward into a vast, sunlit expanse. It felt like waking from a long nightmare. Her heart thundered in her chest, and for the first time, the weight of her past felt lighter, less suffocating. What just happened? The woman murmured, staring in awe. Emma turned to her, tears glistening in her eyes but swimming with relief. I faced it. I faced the truth, she whispered, reaching out to grip her companion's hand. And now we can truly move on. But in that moment of newfound hope, a haunting whisper curled around them, soft yet lingering like an uninvited guest. You cannot escape the house. The game. It's not done yet. Their surroundings flickered momentarily, reality shifting again beneath the pull of more sinister shadows. Air thickened with dread, making Emma's heart race anew. Emma looked around, tightening her grip on the woman's hand as the light dimmed. Together, she affirmed, knowing that she held the power to face whatever haunted them next. Now it was time to fight again, to reclaim their lives. As they steadied themselves against the mounting darkness, strength surged within their united bond. Together, they turned to face the shadows once more, the light of their truth illuminating the way. It was no longer just survival, it was defiance, and with that, they charged back into the fray. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. You've come this far, you're part of the family. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Your support makes all the difference in bringing these stories to life. Let us keep this community growing.